At 59 years old, Glenn Corbett finally says she was the love of his life. Glenn Corbett was born Glenn Dinrathenberg on August 17, 1933 in Almonte, California. He grew up in a regular working family. From when he was little, Corbett loved stories, movies, and the bravos who were on movie screens during Hollywood's best time. His early life was not fancy, but it was filled with never giving up, hard work, and a strong wish to make something special of himself. These things that later helped him in his acting job. Before going to Hollywood, Corbett worked in the United States Navy, where his time in the military made his character even stronger. His years off serving taught him about bouncing back from hard times and taking care of himself that he used in both his personal and work life. Many people who later worked with him said that his military time gave him steady confidence and quiet modesty, things that made him easy to like for audiences and respected by other people in the business. After finishing his service, Corbett went to college and got involved in college theater shows, a course that would change his life's direction. His good looks, strong voice, and natural charm quickly got the attention of people around him. His friends and teachers encouraged him, so he decided to try acting for real. Hollywood, always looking for new talent, welcomed him in the late 1950s. He soon started appearing in movies and television where his calm style and strong physical presence made him different from any other actors at that time. Corbett's career became famous across the country when he was picked to replace George Maharis on the popular 11 show Route 66. Taking over such a well-loved role was not easy, but Corbett managed to bring high sound, special personality to the part of Flink Case, a Vietnam veteran revealing the open highways of America. His acting connected with viewers not only because of his charm and honesty, but also because audiences felt he was real. He wasn't just an actor playing a veteran. He was a man who had lived with hard work, courage, and giving up things for others. His time on Route 66 made him famous everywhere, making sure he had a place in television history. Beyond Route 66, Glenn Corbett's career had many different roles in both movies and television. He appeared in movies like Shenandoah in 1965 Next, to James Stewart where he showed his ability to be both strong and caring as well as Schism in 1970, with John Wayne in which headed great acting next to one of the movie world's greatest stars. On television, he was memorable in shows like Star Trek, The Virginian, The Road West, and Dallas, showing his ability as an actor who could change easily from westerns to dramas to science fiction. Each role added another part to his reputation as someone you could count on and a real performer who could make any show better. Corbett's legacy is not just in the characters he played, but in the feeling he left with co-workers and fans too. Known when cameras weren't rolling as a kind, modest, and real man, he stayed away from the bad parts of Hollywood's excess lifestyle and instead focused on his work and his family. He was respected for his being professional on set. Always ready, always respectful, and never someone told him in the spotlight. To people who knew him, Glenn Corbett was the best of what a Hollywood actor could be, talented without being stuck up, hardworking without complaining, and charming without being fake. Glenn Corbett's personal life had several marriages that showed different parts of his journey as both a man and an actor. His first and longest marriage was to Judy Daniels, who he married in 1957 at a time when his career was just starting to take shape. This marriage, lasting until their divorce in 1973, went on for 16 years and was with Corbett through much of the 1960s. A teamy when he was getting famous in Hollywood and trying to balance the demands of acting with taking care of his family life. Together, Glenn and Judy had 2 children, a son and a daughter, who became a big part of his life away from the spotlight. Friends and characters often said that while Corbett loved his work, he felt quiet pride in being a father, and his children stayed one of his greatest sources of happiness after his first marriage ended. Corbett went into a time of personal changes that showed the changes in his work life as well. In 1977, he married Catherine Lee Glisson. This second marriage, however, turned out to be very short, lasting only that same year before the couple divorced. How short the relationship was suggested that Corbett, though looking for companionship, may have had trouble finding lasting happiness in his romantic life after the long chapter with Judy Daniels. Just a year later, in 1978, he went into another marriage with Jackie Lynn Henry. Like the one before it, this marriage also did not last past the year in which it started. Even though these later marriages were very short, they showed Corbett's continued hope for love and connection. Even with all third parts of his career and personality, though his marriages after Judi Daniels were brief, Corbett's role as a father stayed the same. His 2 children from his first marriage were at the center of his personal legacy. While much of Corbett's career was spent in front of the camera, playing tough, dependable, and often heroic characters, at home, he took on the quieter but just as important role of being a parent. His children carried forward his memory after his early death in 1993, making sure that beyond the movie and television work for which he was remembered, there also lived the story of a man who loved his family deeply, even when his romantic relationships did not last. In the end, Glenn Corbett's life was one of differences between the public roles that made him admired and the private struggles and joys of his marriages and fatherhood. But it was his mix of experiences that made history all the more human and lasting. At 59 years old, Glenn Corbett found himself in a deeply thoughtful time of his life, looking back over the success and struggles of his career in Hollywood and the complicated parts of his personal relations. Though he had been married multiple times with marriages that ended in divorce, and though he had known the joys of fatherhood, there was one truth he could no longer keep buried. In a rare and heartfelt moment of honesty, Corbett finally said something that had weighed on his heart for decades. That Lana Turner, the legendary actress often Caledonia of the most glamorous stars of golden age of Hollywood, had been true love of his life. For years, he had kept his feelings private out of respect for her and out of fear of showing his most vulnerable truth. But as he reached his late 50s, he could no longer deny what he felt. "She was the one who truly captured my soul," Corbett said, his voice carrying both tenderness and longing. "I had been in love before. I had been married before. But what I felt for Lana was something completely different. It wasn't just passion. It was devotion, admiration, and a kind of wonder I couldn't put into words at the time." Their relationship between Glenn Corbett and Lana Turner had never been a headline-making romance in the gossip magazines of the day, but it was real and it was deep. Turner, who was more than 10 years older than Corbett, had already lived through storms of scandal, heartbreak, and starting over by the time their paths crossed. She was a woman of inner strength made tougher by tragedy, and Glenn admired how strong she was. He often talked about how their conversations went far beyond the sparkle of Hollywood. They spoke about loneliness, about the price of fame, and about the longing for simple happiness that often stayed away from people in their world. But Lana had this ability to make you forget what she was to the world. Corbett explained, "With me, she wasn't the star. She was just Lana. Warm, funny, vulnerable, sometimes even unsure of herself. And I think that's why I loved her so deeply. I saw the woman behind the legend." Though their time together was short, Corbett carried the memory of their connection with him for the rest of his life. He said that he had sometimes messed up his own relationships because he could never fully let go of Lana. There was always the silent comparison, the quiet standard she had set, even if never admitted it openly until much later. "The truth is I could never measure anyone else against her," he said. "And I didn't want to. She was the love of my life, even if circumstance meant she could never fully be mine." Turner herself, known for her complicated love life and high-profile romances, rarely spoke of Glenn Corbett publicly, but those close to her understood that, too, had felt a tenderness toward him. Friends remarked that he had been known of the few men who treated her with genuine kindness and patience without trying to control her or use her fame. Their bond may not have lasted forever, but it had left a mark on both of them. For Corbett, speaking these words at 59 was more than telling the truth. It was a release. He had spent years building a respectable career, appearing in films and television series, creating his identity as an actor beyond the Hollywood machine. Yet behind the scenes, he lived with the quiet ache of knowing he had once touched a love that was beyond the ordinary. "If I have one regret," he admitted, "it's that I didn't tell her more often how much she meant to me. I was young. I thought there would always be more time, but love like that, you don't come across it twice in a lifetime." And finally saying that Lana Turner had been the love of his life, Glenn Corbett revealed a side of himself few had ever seen. It was not the tough leading man or the polished television star, but a man who, despite all his achievements, still carried the tender vulnerability of unfulfilled love. His words painted a picture not only of Turner's beauty and mystery, but of her humanity, something that had bound them together, however briefly, in a connection that lasted in memory long after their romance had ended. For Thossuo admired Corbett, his confession offered a rare look into the depth of his heart. It showed that beneath his quiet manner lay a man capable of extraordinary passion and loyalty. And for those who adored Lana Turner, it was yet another testament to her abilitito-inspired devotion, not just from audiences who loved her on the silver screen, but from the men who truly knew her and cherished her for the woman she was behind the glamour. She'll always be the one. Corbett concludes simply, summing up a lifetime of longing in a single sentence. No matter what, Lana was my great love. In January of 1993, the entertainment world quietly lost a talented actor. Glenn Corbett passed away after a battle with lung cancer. His death happened at Veterans Administration Hospital in San Antonio, Texas, a city deeply tied to military history and remembrance, which made the setting especially meaningful given Corbett's own background as a US Navy veteran. At only 59 years old, his passing came far too soon, cutting short a life and career that had been marked by bouncing back from hard times, determination, and a deep sense of duty to both his craft and his country. Lung cancer, a disease that took the lives of many actors of his generation, was an especially tragic end for a man who hadn't been celebrated for his strong health, athletic build, and striking screen presence. The final months of his life were spent under the care of doctors and staff who were dedicated to easing his pain, reflecting the long tradition of the Veterans Administration and honoring those who had served their nation. After his death, Glenn Corbett was laid to rest with the dignity fitting both a veteran and a beloved actor. His burial took place in Fort Sam Houston National Cemetery in San Antonio, a special ground where thousands of men and women who had served in the US Armed Forces are remembered. Being buried in this historic cemetery replaced Corbett among fellow veterans, showing the fact that his identity was shaped not only by his years in Hollywood, but also by the values and sacrifices of his military service. The setting itself, with its carefully maintained grounds, rows of white headstones, and the serious quiet that fills it, made sure that Corbett's final resting place was one of peace, reverence, and national honor for his family, friends, and fans. The knowledge that he lay in a place dedicated to heroes offered a measure of comfort, a reminder that his legacy extended beyond film and television into the world of service and sacrifice. Though his life ended at an age many consider far too young, Corbett's memory continues to live on in the hearts of those who admired him. His death marked not just the passing of a man, but the closing of a chapter in television and film history. For those who had grown up watching him in series like Route 66 or recognized him from his many guest roles across popular shows of the 1960s, 1970 Seconds and 1980 Seconds. The news of his passing was a reminder of how short life and fame can be. While his name may not have always been as instantly recognized as some of his contemporaries, Glenn Corbett held a unique place in the industry, that of a dependable, hard-working actor who brought authenticity and strength to every role he played. His burial in Fort Sam Houston also symbolized a closing off circle. An actor who had portrayed soldiers, lawmen, and strong-willed men of integrity on screen was ultimately honored as a real-life serviceman whose contribution extended beyond the camera.